Thanks everyone, and for being here and your interest in nickel and nickel exploration. The previous talk was good actually to hear some exploration some exploration talk and to see some exploration slides. We are a pure exploration company. We're looking for high-grade nickel, and high-grade nickel in Canada. It's a very good place to look. As you know, there are 4 high-grade districts in Canada. All of them produce Class 1 nickel. All of them been around for quite a while, and they're all world-class. So we, as a mission statement, we're trying to find Canada's 5th and hopefully 6th district-scale nickel projects. We have 2. They're both in Newfoundland and Labrador. We own them 100% now. We optioned them from a company called Altius Minerals, which is really the leader of exploration and mining in Newfoundland. And these ones we really liked from day one. And the reason is A, they were large, B, they had produced high-grade results in the past. And that was kind of our starting point. That's what we wanted to see. And we wanted to be, for lack of another purpose, not lack of words, just starting something new, starting something fresh, and we spent a lot of time deciding on these projects. The first one is called Taylor Brook. It's on the island of Newfoundland. It's not far from Deer Lake Airport, and we've been working that one quite hard for 3 years now. And that intersection you see there, 4.4 meters. Of 2.8% nickel, that's ours, and we built upon one previous intersection that was much shorter and much shallower, and we've shown that this magmatic system is large, it's continuous, and really now what we're trying to find is other hotspots along it. We're drilling presently. We are active right now. I'm just back from the project yesterday, actually. We have 2 new targets that we've established. They're away from that mineralization, away from this area called Leyden. And this is really a huge step for us in that we've established through geophysics and through soil sampling that we have this 13-kilometer long magmatic trend, and we're now truthing it. We have now truly discovered the same magmatic rocks and nickel mineralization in different places. And so these 2 new targets are very compelling. They're high chargeability IP targets, and that's what we're drilling this fall. Florence Lake, different model here. So this is Raglan style, this is Cambalda style mineralization. But it's an old Falconbridge property actually, and it was worked by a really good team. Scott McLean was the geologist back in the 90s. And they found one high-grade little deposit. It's called Bakey. And that intersection you see there, 11.3 meters, that was drilled by them. And we've since then just taken off really with the data that they collected. It has sat dormant for 30 years, and we have the entire belt. We've reinterpreted it. We have about 30 high-grade targets that we're following up in the Bakey area. And as well, we have one of these very large low-grade bulk tonnage peridotite dunite bodies there. It's called Seahorse Lake, or we've named it Seahorse Lake, but surface sampling done by Falconbridge back in the 90s was very successful. They weren't interested in those sorts of grades back then, but of course there's a whole new paradigm going on where these things are very much of interest, and you've heard about that from some of the past speakers. We're very active, as I said, we're exploring right now, and that's one of the real benefits of our property is that we have fabulous access. When we went about looking for these new projects, and we've only been around for 3 years, there was a checklist, and these are the criteria, these are the geological characteristics you want to see for a district. All the great districts in the world have them, and our 2 projects also have them. So it's up to us now to show that they have district scale. You've seen this slide before from many presenters, I think, but it's really showing historically what's been economic to mine. And of course, what's of very high value. It includes, Tamarack and Eagle's Nest. Kabanga, which you're about to hear about. So these all sit in the very, very high grade part of that chart, and that's really where we decided we were going to go. You have to be on the edge of a craton. Rifted margins, these are the classic settings for nickel districts, and that's what we have with both of our projects. This is now just on the bottom there in the inset map. You can see a cratonic map and where our two projects are. Florence Lake is in Labrador, Taylor Brook on the island of Newfoundland, both on the edge of the Canadian Shield. And we show that road there, the North Labrador Road. So this is a feasibility stage project that the Newfoundland and Nunatsiavut governments are looking into right now. It's at the consultation stage with all of the communities. And this will be a total game changer for Labrador and for our project in particular, in that road will pass within 10, 15 kilometers of our project. Just a slide just showing you our history, I guess, in terms of technical accomplishments, what we've been doing. As I mentioned, we've only been around for 3 years, and we've managed to raise about $13 million in very, very tough markets. And the money all goes in the ground. I mean, we have very, very modest overheads. We've had this is our third drill project now at Taylor Brook. We've built a camp up in Labrador, these sorts of things. So, we're really trying to move things along. We keep our head down, we just keep going. This is what our capital markets profile looks like. Obviously, we're quite dilute, but, this has allowed us to continue, to keep going. And management has always been taking a big part of any financing that we do. So Taylor Brook first, this is the one on the island of Newfoundland. It's north of Deer Lake Airport, and that is the discovery showing. That's called the Leyden showing. That lady there, that's Dawn Evans-Lambswood, who was at Voisey's Bay right from the start. She's a structural geologist, quite a guru, and she helped us figure it out, and she still consults to us. It's a breccia, as you can see. That orange rock has some darker seams in it. That's the massive sulfide. The orange rock is disseminated sulfide. Collectively, it grades about 3% nickel over 2 meters. And that had one hole in it in the past, and 2 holes that had been drilled by Altius's partner about 100 meters away. And we've now extended this system for about 300 meters along strike and 200 meters at depth. It has never blossomed out, though, into a big deposit. But what we feel it is it's a feeder and a sign of just how good this nickel system is. Infrastructure is fantastic. We, as I mentioned, we're not far from Deer Lake Airport. It's a 2.5-hour flight from Toronto. You're at our camp, which is actually owned by a fellow named Chris Verbitsky, who was the co-discoverer of Voisey's Bay. The camp, it takes you about an hour to get to the camp, and then we have logging roads throughout the property. It's a permanent camp, as you can see, so all of our unit costs are very, very low. We drill, I use an all-up number, for instance, for our drill programs of $200 a meter, and that's everything, including accommodation, vehicles, assays, all these sorts of things. So we get a lot of bang for our buck. As I mentioned, you have to be on the edge of the Canadian Shield, so here's a bit of geology for you. And Taylor Brook is right at the edge of the Grenville province, as we showed. And there's a rifted margin there. It's full of younger sediments that actually have some hydrocarbon potential. And this setting really, really attracted us. The Leyden showing is that red star you see, and it's out in pink Grenville rocks. And the pink means that they should all be gneisses and schists and typical 1.1 billion year old Grenville rocks. But it was immediately adjacent to this very, very large Taylor Brook Gabbro complex, which really intrigued me from day one. And that has an age of 430 million years, so it's much younger. It's Silurian in age. That is the epoch when basically Newfoundland was formed, when all of these different collisions took place, all of these different ore bodies formed, including Rambler, including Buckins, fabulous base metal camps. So it made a lot of sense that, the nickel had to be associated with this age date. And we've been able to prove definitively that they are. They're exactly the same age. And really what we've done since then is actually shown that they're also connected geologically. And that's really an important step. I won't bore you with too much technical here, but this is our geophysics and as well as regional government geophysics. And what you can see down at the bottom there is the south lobe of the Taylor Brook Gabbro is incredibly magnetic. So a very, very good sign for iron nickel sulfides. As well, there's a known gravity anomaly there. So again, this means it's dense. Everything was pointing towards being very, very interesting from a nickel context. And when we flew our VTEM survey, we got a whack of conductivity in the known Leyden area in the middle of the picture there, but as well down at the south lobe. So everything just continued to hang together. Lots of soil geochemistry, and we got a real kick right on the margin of the south lobe. And this was really the impetus to our present drilling program. That was last year's result. We followed it up. It hung together beautifully. Very, very high nickel, copper, cobalt numbers on surface. And, no obvious connection to Leyden based on magnetics. But when we flew a resistivity survey, that was really the eye-opener. And what you're seeing there, the figure on the left, is what we call the Taylor Brook magmatic trend. It's truly magmatic rocks are gabbronorites. They're norites. It gets into the ultramafic categories as well. They're intrusive into not only the Grenville rocks, but intrusive into the Taylor Brook Gabbro. And so that section where I have Leyden Sill and Leyden Dike, that's actually showing us the architecture. And for the first time, we really understood that we have a big wing, if you will, of a sill-like structure, and Leyden sits along it, and it's away from the actual primary dike, the TB dike. And right now, we are focusing on the TB dike. Just a Voisey Bay footprint, just so you get an idea of the scale of Voisey's Bay. It's obviously world-class. It's underground now at the Reed Brook deposit, which is very, very high grade. It's also underground at Eastern Deeps, which is lower grade but much larger tonnage. And it's about 4.5 kilometers long, this system, but it keeps growing. Inco has had Valais has had some fabulous intersections below Reed Brook and also below Eastern Deeps. Our feature's 13 kilometers long as we presently know it, and we're going to fly some more airborne surveys to expand it. We know it goes further west, and that our data off to the west was showing that it was continuous. So the sill is continuous going off to the west. Two areas were chosen, though, for priority work over the last 6 months. And that was extending Leyden, trying to follow where Leyden went up in the north. And down in the south, that was following up that spectacular soil anomaly. And it's kind of coincident with the gravity anomaly, so an area that, that really, really looks compelling. The picture there is the drill taken a couple weeks ago. We use a local driller called Majors, which is based out of Deer Lake. They're also the logging company that's logging in this district. So they're actually logging within 2 kilometers of where we're drilling right now. In fact, the area we're drilling is going to be logged off in the next year. So a lot of support. It just makes, again, all of our costs very, very reasonable. So we are in the process of drilling what we call TB01. This was discerned from an IP survey. So we did resistivity to find the right rocks, IP to find disseminated mineralization within them, and then we do borehole and surface EM to find conductors. Holes TB2441 has been completed. It did not hit massive sulfide, or you would have heard about it, but what it did hit is blebs of nickel sulfides. And this is really, really important because it's the very first nickel sulfides that have ever been found in this setting, and the setting is extremely compelling for nickel deposits. Hole 42 is just about finished. I saw the core 2 days ago, and it's also in beautiful magmatic rocks, intrusive into the more crystalline Taylor Brook gabbro. And it also has hit Blebby-type mineralization. The hole we have very high hopes for in this area is 43, and that's starting presently, and it's going for the vertical target that you see there. This is a strong IP chargeability target down at about 400 meters. It sits under a swamp, as things generally do, as the good rocks generally do. So we don't really see it on surface, but that hole will really be the one that we hope will show TB01 is a substantial nickel sulfide body, probably disseminated based on, or net textured based on the IP, but very, very similar picture to what we had at Leyden. Up at the Leyden extension area, we'd done a lot of drilling on Leyden, and really, as I mentioned, we've outlined the high-grade trend. But what was really compelling about Leyden is that it's surrounded or enveloped, if you will, by hundreds of meters of breccia, by nickel sulfide breccia that's cementing the rock that it's intruded. And so this became a very, very good geophysical target from an IP sense, from an induced polarization sense. And what you're seeing there is our chargeability results. We have a spectacular strong target up at TB06 that correlates beautifully with that resistivity low. It's right on the edge of the north lobe of the Taylor Brook gabbro. And I can tell you that I was there Tuesday, spotting where pads 44, 45, and 46 are going to be, and I found nickel sulfide magmatic rock there. Low grade, I mean, nothing to get excited about, but it's the right rock, and it's got nickel in it. So we're starting to show that the system really is huge, and it really is nickel bearing. We also, the IP was quite instructive in that target TB08, we think that's the extension of Leyden. I lost Leyden when it hit that fault, and we now can see where it goes, and we actually have VTEM conductors within TB08. So this will be drilled as well in the present program. You can see the chargeability targets on the right there. Again, these rocks sit in a swamp. It's kind of a strange swamp because it's perched. It sits up in the highlands, but still it correlates beautifully with that magmatic trend and with our IP targets there, and you can see how compelling and strong and basically continuous those targets look. So we're very, very excited about those. We should get started there in the next few weeks. So it's just a great project. I mean, we've done a lot of work, but really we're still getting started. But I think any one of our drill holes now could come in, and that would really get our story going. Florence Lake now. This is the one up in Labrador. It's helicopter accessible presently, but we do hope that that road goes through, and we'll certainly be lobbying for it and trying to help in any way we can. Ultramafic rocks here are the target again, but volcanic rocks as opposed to intrusive rocks. As I mentioned, it was a Falconbridge project. They didn't do much on it after 1993. They did have a small option in 1997 that did a bit of work, though. Access, really, really good, in terms of being close to the coast and close to Postville. Postville is going to be the major port for Labrador if the road goes through. That is the master plan. I just want to skip all the way to, this is the high grade, this is the little deposit that Falconbridge discovered, but this is what I wanted to talk about, because this is quite new, actually. So the GSC flew an airborne survey there in the summer of 2022, and down in the south, this fabulous mag anomaly appeared. We knew it was there based on regional geophysics, but not nearly as compelling as this. What I'm showing on the right with the histograms is all of Falconbridge's sampling. And so this is surface sampling, but consistently between sort of 0.2 and 0.4. I spent a week there about 3 weeks ago, and all of those white histograms you see, that was myself and Derek Wilton, our consultant, that we found peridotite or dunite every single place that you should have seen it based on the mag. So we now know the thing is huge. It's absolutely huge. It's never been drilled. Well, that's not true. There's one drill hole that went 100 meters into it. But, you know, it's hundreds of meters wide. Those pictures you see there, that's serpentinized peridotite outcropping. It's in most cases, it is a topographical high. So, you know, a really, really compelling situation for a large tonnage project. I see I'm out of time, so I'm going to stop there. We have high-grade targets there that are every bit as compelling, though. So I'll just leave it right there and invite any questions.